Welcome to Cicada Rising, where fear takes flight and the truth lies in the shadows. Prepare to be captivated by true accounts of the supernatural, eerie encounters, and unexplained mysteries. Brace yourself for a journey into the shadows, where every whisper and every creak could be a harbinger of something beyond comprehension. Now let's begin. For over an hour now, the same noise has been bothering my husband and I. Understandably, neither one of us wanted to be the one to get up out of our cozy bed on this freezing night. Kind man that he is, my husband checked first and saw it was just a branch. A bit annoying, as this meant trying for the next hour to fall back asleep. At least the noise issue was over. That was until the noise returned. My husband got up again and checked to see that nothing changed. Jokingly, he said as he dropped himself back into bed that it was my turn next. When the noise returned, I made the journey. Leaving the comfort of my warm covers was horrible, so I tried wrapping it up quick as possible. Up fast, rush to the window, see the branch, turn around and back to bed. Luckily, the last trip turned out to be just that. We both took advantage of the break. When my eyes closed, I imagined something terrible. Like a horrible sensation made itself apparent throughout my entire body, and I despised every second of it. It felt like I'd entered hell. There was such an overpowering sense of dread, almost as if I'd seen a ghost. My eyes shot open. Very faintly, I'd heard a different noise from the window. It was less rhythmic and carried on for longer, more random bursts. It seemed odd, but I just figured the wind had died down. I gently nudged my husband, but he was in a deep sleep, so he didn't wake up. I considered whether or not getting up to investigate, but I'd gotten so comfortable in my covers and starting over from scratch was not an option. So I let it be, hoping it would stop on its own. Luckily, the next few minutes it seemed to trail off before stopping altogether. Finally, we were back to glorious quiet. The sun shined through our bedroom window and made the space look heavenly as we woke up. I realized how quiet it was in the home. By now, our daughter Caitlin is up and already making a commotion. I called out to her, but nothing. Once up, I decided to feed the curious part of my brain. A quick trip to the window and the sight waiting for me filled my heart with pure dread before breaking it. Looking back at me were the frozen eyes of Caitlin. With the air chill and ice, it could not have taken long for our beautiful daughter to meet her end. Her face a lifeless white, eyes and lips frosted over, fingers black from the frostbite stuck to the window still tapping. She must have just slipped out in the night to let our cat inside. Somehow she got stuck outside. Somehow the emergency taps of a freezing, dying child were ignored by a mother in her warm bed, not even 10 feet away. Hey, remember the time when you were 3 and almost burnt your hand when you touched the ironing machine? My mom says while chopping tomatoes for dinner. Yeah, I was stupid back then, I say while I iron her clothes out. Well, you still are, she retorts wittily. I let out a chuckle. I love being here. I grew up here as a kid, and so the folks here are pretty warm towards us. And although the apartment is awfully small, it feels comfier than my bungalow. I try visiting Mom as often as I can after cancer took Dad away a couple of years ago. The rain outside intensifies. You know, my doctor says that having almonds with honey is good for memory. Mom explains. So, you've included it in your diet? Nah, I always forget about it. We both laugh. Over the years, we've both developed a friend-like bond, which helps us in sharing things we otherwise wouldn't have shared. I'll be back, she says as she nods towards the bathroom. I give a slight nod and continue with my ironing. As time passes, I realize that it has been almost 15 minutes since she had gone to the bathroom. She should have been back by now. I set down the machine and make my way to the bathroom, knocking gently on the door. I don't get a reply. The light inside and the sound of water running are enough for me to assume that she's still in there. But I knock again. I hear a single knockback. Assuming everything is okay inside, I come back to the living room. To my utter disbelief, I see my mom sitting on the couch and still cutting tomatoes. She looks up and flashes me a smile. What? That is all I'm able to say. She doesn't answer it. I calm myself down. I don't reason with myself right away. I look for more information. Trying to keep my voice steady, I ask her, "Weren't you in the bathroom just now?" She looks up from the chopping board with a face as confused as mine. "Huh? No, I was here chopping tomatoes." I try to find some logic in the situation. Perhaps she didn't go to the bathroom after all. But that doesn't explain the light being on and the water running. Perhaps while I was outside the bathroom, she had already come back but forgotten to turn the lights and the tap off. But I would have seen her come back had this happened. And none of this explains the knock that I heard. I go back to the bathroom to check for a potential intruder. The rational part of me argues that no intruder can come in through our tiny bathroom window. But I push that thought aside for a while as I enter the bedroom and make my way towards the bathroom. I am left perplexed when I see the bathroom door open and the lights and the tap turned off. None of it makes sense. I feel my t-shirt clinging to my skin, drenched in sweat. The air feels too stuffy now. Like a thunderbolt, a thought hits me. "Mom, I need to go check in on her." With a rush of adrenaline, I jump across the bed and dart through the hallway to the living room. I don't see her on the couch where she was sitting before. I check the kitchen. The sound of silence receives me. I return to the bedroom once more, knowing deep down that I will not find her there. I call her cell phone in despair. I hear it ringing outside in the living room. I dash out of the apartment, not bothering to put on shoes. I feel the wet floor against my bare feet. Within seconds, I'm at the apartment's parking lot, maneuvering my way past every parked car, looking for Mom. I am greeted with nothing but silence and darkness. As desperation starts to creep in, I feel increasingly helpless. I run out of the parking lot and into the empty street. I see families at their homes, enjoying their dinner. I see brothers playing video games, couples watching movies. I move past them towards the end of the street, scanning every square inch of my surroundings. I don't see Mom anywhere. I call the police. Initially, they suspect me for the disappearance of my mother. Over time, they realize that I'm not guilty. I don't talk about that incident with anyone, not even my wife or my daughter. All of it is still too raw, too fresh. I need to know if Mom's ever going to come back. Every day, I wake up hoping I'd hear something about her, and every day my heart shatters into a million pieces when I don't. Her case has already been put with several other missing persons cases, where eventually it will be forgotten. And today, nearly 4 months after the incident, I knock on my daughter's bathroom door after she's been in there for too long. I hear a single knock back. Probably the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. I have just realized everything I'm about to tell you, so my fingers are still a little shaky. I live in a Venezuelan island in the Caribbean called Margarita. Been here for the most part of my life. A lot of people here are still very rooted to the original human experience. Some are not even into technology. They're just about nature, fishing, drinking with neighbors on the beach, celebrating their religious beliefs, what you would find people doing 50 or 60 years back. Maybe due to their disconnection to the digital world, it is very common to find people with special gifts. I mean, witches, clairvoyants, seers, you name it. I've never surrounded myself with those kind of people, nor will I. But I just had this experience a few weeks ago, and I just had my mind blown. It was a Monday at 11 p.m. I was at the beach with a pal and a group of girls that were visiting the island for the first time. We were having a nice time, had a couple beers until one of the girls asked me if I had any cigarettes. I smoke sometimes, but I didn't have any cigarettes on me. Plus, finding any bar or shop open at 11 p.m. Monday is basically an impossible task, though I still tried. The guy that was watching the cars told me he'd take me to a place if I bought him half a pack. I agreed. We got to the place a few blocks down the road. I walked in and asked the cashier for 2 packs of Marlboro. There was a woman sitting at the bar, maybe in her 50s. She had piercing eyes and was probably a little drunk, as she was drinking rum and her cheeks were super red. even though she had brownish skin. This is where it gets creepy. She greeted me and we started talking about how Marlboro were better than other brand of cigarettes. She then looked me dead in the eye and told me even though I live here, in this island, I wasn't born here, which was true. She told me I had something latched onto me that was taking good care of me on the other side. And that's why I've survived my near-death experiences. I've had a few, a very close type of few. I was silent for a second and told her that if it's watching over me, then it's probably good, right? She laughed, extended her hand to shake mine, and as she shook it, she was sort of rubbing it. Her eyes went blank as she did, and that's when I felt chills all over my body. My heart started racing. Then she stood up, leaned up to me as if she wanted to tell me a secret and told me, "There is an all-time buddy of yours that knows about all the good and bad stuff that happened to you. He cheers when you fail and hates it when you move up. The thing you have with you will show you who that false friend is and end the friendship on terrible terms. Do not hesitate to do what you must." At this point, I already had my cigs, was scared shitless, and just wanted to get the hell out of there. So I thanked her for the advice and left. The days passed, and I never gave it any deeper thought. Until I had a huge fight with a friend of 10 years and blocked him everywhere, never to contact him again. I won't get into details to keep this short, but it was a friend I helped for years who told me I wasn't his friend. I wasn't his friend for not being able to lend him money for the 999th time. It was quite a showdown, though. We were pretty close to physically hurting each other. But whatever, even then. I couldn't make the connection between what the old lady at the bar told me with what had just happened, until a few minutes ago. She nailed every single detail. The timing was also on point. It's like she read my life without me even having a clue of what she was talking about. Don't know if she was a witch or whatever, but there are really other forces in this world that we ignore. Stop ignoring it. Pretty much everything happens for a reason, and life gives you signs, so when it does, make sure to follow your gut and skip all rules of society about it. I used to ghost hunt with friends, so I have a few stories. Here's the first. This was a couple of years ago. I was still in college. I worked at my local high school in South Jersey on the night shift for some extra money, but unfortunately the hours meant that I didn't really get to have a life during the week. I get a call from my friend group on a Friday before I headed into work, saying that they were going to explore Clinton Road, which was known to be the scariest road in New Jersey. Obviously I couldn't go, so I told them to let me know how they made out. Later in the night, I get a call from them in panic saying all these crazy things happened to them. They described what happened, how they threw coins over Ghost Boy Bridge. And they came back. And when they came back, a ghost truck followed them, and the feeling of being watched. I thought they were just hyping it up because I missed out, so it was decided we'd all go the next night. But this time, I got to see it for myself, something I'd regret for the rest of my life. Us being from South Jersey, Clinton Road is a bit of a drive for us, about 2 hours. So there was plenty of time for us to get all hyped up and spooked out. Now I can only describe myself as the manly man of the group. Being 6'5", 260, especially back then, I had the persona of, it's all made up, nothing will scare us. Boy, was I wrong. Right when we get there, the entire vibe changed from, "Oh, we're all gonna be spooked," to, "Oh, wait, this is actually pretty damn creepy." The road is in the middle of the woods, houses few and far between. The first thing we see when we get there is a small mini castle-looking building, the best way that I can describe it. And because of the far ride, we all had to pee, so I went to the left. Friend 2, Joe, went straight, and friend 3, Har, went to the right. Friend 4 was female who stayed behind us in the road. After I was done, I immediately walked back along with Har, but we noticed Joe walking towards the creepy building. I start shouting, asking what he was doing, and he turns back around with the look of shock. Me being completely confused, I ask, "What are you doing walking there?" Joe swore up and down that I was actually behind the building waving at him to follow me to the building. So naturally, we are all getting freaked out. We pull up to the bridge, Ghost Boy, and I check everyone for coins to make sure they don't fake it just to scare me. We all throw the coins, nothing happens. See guys, it's all in your head, let's go. So we all start walking back to the car. I hear the coins hit the road. We sprint back to check and we find the coins laying in the road. I was 100% convinced they were just messing with me, so I had the idea to mark a coin so they couldn't fake it. Threw the coin in the water, waited 5 minutes in silence. Nothing. See guys, let's go. I hear coins in the road. I walk back. I'll be damned. It was a coin with the same exact markings I put on it. I'm extremely freaked at this point, so we decide to go. Driving down the winding road in a newer sports car, we are all freaked and just want to leave. We see headlights appear behind us seemingly out of nowhere. Didn't see them attached to a vehicle. I'm no car expert, but I bet my life they were lights on an old truck. Getting closer the faster we went, taking bends at fast speeds that even a new truck wouldn't handle. Suddenly, the lights disappear. So now, all in panic, we decide to pull over to map our way out. Dead silence. No light except our headlights in the woods. We hear the typical women ghosts moan, and of course what came with it was the typical woman in a white dress standing in the woods right next to our car. And she let out the loudest scream I have ever heard. We are screaming at this point to get out of Dodge. Once we make it back to that main road, we decide to dig a little deeper on this road. Apparently the ghost truck tries to make people crash on Dead Man's Curve. There have been numerous bodies buried there from the famous murderer, the Iceman. On our way home, we were so ballsy and wanted to go back again the next night, Sunday. We suddenly pass an old run-down church that looks like it hasn't been used in 50 years. And of course, the sign left out front said, "You need Jesus on Sunday." Safe to say that I never went back. And even up to this day, the friend group still refuses to talk about what happened that night on Clinton Road. Hello all. The story I'm going to share happened from 2009 to 2010. I grew up with my mother, brother, and sister. My mom had finally gotten us out of government housing, and in a really nice area with much less crime. Everything looked so much brighter and happier for us. Upon moving in, we were notified that the previous tenant, Amber, had died in the apartment. From what we were told, she was rather obese and suffered heart failure in the master room. We moved in and started getting settled in our new home. Nothing too crazy happened our first couple weeks there, but little strange things started happening. My mom worked late nights at a nursing home, so she wasn't home too often during the night. I was in the bedroom I shared with my brother one night. We both looked at each other after hearing a thud come from the kitchen. We got up and checked it out, and there was a picture that hung right in the doorway of the kitchen, now on the floor. We both kind of just shrugged it off and continued with our night. Then one day we were all getting ready for a family gathering at my grandparents'. We all got ready and started getting in my mom's car. My mom realized she had forgotten something. I can't remember what it was, and asked if one of us wanted to go grab it. Of course, being the youngest, that was pinned on me. I walk in the apartment, and as I walk past the kitchen, the freezer door is open. It freaked me out a little bit, but I closed it thinking maybe someone left it open. We all went to the family gathering, and when we got back, it was open again. I was blamed for it since I was the last one in there. And nobody believed me when I explained what had happened previously. Some time passes and small things kept happening, like lights being shut off randomly, gibberish being typed in my mom's Google search bar, the closet doors being opened when we all swore they weren't. Weird little mind fucks until eventually. As I stated before, I shared a room with my brother. We always kept the door open. Always. One night we were getting ready for bed. As I was watching him play GTA 4, suddenly our bedroom door slammed shut so loud we both jumped off our asses. We looked at each other and I swear we could hear each other's heartbeats. We started calling out Mom, and we even called out our sister's name a couple of times with no answer. Our mom opens the door and walks in and asks what the hell happened and why we slammed our door so loud. We both pleaded to her that it was not us, and we asked her if maybe our sister did it, and we walked in her room to see her listening to music on her little iPod Shuffle. From that day, we were all on edge about the apartment, and all the small things started adding up. These next few instances were the most paranormal. After so many small things happening, we all started sleeping in one room together. I woke up one morning, and my mom said, "My lips are really dry. Can you grab my chapstick out of my purse? It's next to the closet in the living room." So I got up and made my way to the closet right next to our apartment door. I look around, and the blinds are completely twisted open, even though we always made sure they were closed the night before. I look back over at her purse sitting on the floor, right next to a completely latched closed door. I go in her purse. I start moving things around, and I remember as soon as I saw the little tube of chapstick and comprehended what it was, the closet door flew open on me and hit me on its way open. I screamed and ran so loud and so fast back to my mom. One day my brother had his friend over, and we were all watching The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and a picture frame in the living room flew off the wall and hit my brother in the head. My mom one night put a knife in the bedroom door to see if it would open during the night, and sure as shit we woke up to a door half opened and the butter knife on the carpet. Still not sure why she put a butter knife in it. My mom got to the point where she just begged our landlord if she could have the next open apartment, and a couple months later, we moved up one floor. I still remember it all very clearly. All the times I felt like I was being watched while playing Legos, the TV turning off in the middle of the night, you hear George Lopez playing in the background, and suddenly, boom, nothing, creepy. I have many more stories from my life. This was just one particular apartment. All details may not be 100% accurate, as I'm now 20, and this was 13 to 14 years ago. Feel free to question anything, because I will likely have a reasonable explanation. As we conclude this bone-chilling installment of Cicada Rising, we urge you to join our community by liking, sharing, and subscribing. To submit your own stories, contact us at mhpicadon@gmail.com, including Cicada Rising in the subject line. Until our paths cross again, remember, the darkness is only as frightening as the secrets it conceals. Stay vigilant, stay connected, and keep the fear alive with Cicada Rising.